Hello everyone, I'm Aveline. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So today we are building an apartment, but I'm splitting it up into 4. So I decided to decorate apartments for students, but they all have studio apartments, so they have the whole setup and everything, and I thought it would be a lot of fun. Before we get started building though, or decorating, I quickly want to say thank you to today's sponsor, GothMath. So GothMath is a math resource tool with AI tech that can help you solve various math problems instantly just by using your smartphone's camera. On top of that, it can also provide you with step-by-step solutions to explain your various math results. And if the AI tech happens to be unable to solve the math problem for you, you will, for a monthly fee, be put in contact with a verified math expert who will not only help you, but will do so via a digital board with audio. You can download the app for free by clicking on the link at the top of the description box and get help from the AI tech with millions of different math problems such as calculus, geometry, algebra, etc., etc. But you can also subscribe to Goth Plus today and get access to 24/7 live tutoring, unlimited access to the question archive, get the app without ads as well, and on top of that you also get 33% off your subscription if you use my code in the description box. So if you're in need of help with your various math problems, definitely check it out. And thank you again so much to GothMath for sponsoring today's video. Now, speaking of math problems, I wonder if any of the students that we're building for today have any of those? I guess we'll see. Let's get started with the apartments. So today we are decorating one big apartment, but I'm splitting it up into 4 very small apartments. So these are all smaller than, at least I think they are, but they might be about the same size as Salim's apartment. I'm not really sure. I think I mentioned in a video not too long ago that I wanted to do a video like this, or like a build like this, where I took a bigger apartment somewhere in Myshuno and then split it up into several smaller apartments. So I figured for a theme, it would make sense as well to have it be for different students, because students tend to live in very small spaces. It's very expensive to study. You don't have a lot of time to have a job on the side either. And if you do, it's most likely like less than a part-time job, so your income is not good. You really don't have a lot of money to pay rent with and stuff, so you end up in small spaces. Usually they're shared, at least in my experience, at least as far as I know, it's very common to have roommates in Denmark. And so these 4 students, obviously we got like different size proportions in The Sims, but I think I made the rooms as small as I could to make sure that, or still while making sure that they have fully functional apartments, each of them. So they're these 4 students are kind of sharing the space together, but it's like, okay, so you can't really see the full, unless you saw it at the start of the video, the full layout of the apartment. But when I say that they share the space together, it's because the whole apartment, which I can't see what the address is, but you can see it at the upper left corner right now. The picture for me is just way too tiny, but it's Medina Studios, I'm pretty sure. And it's the bigger one of the apartments in Medina Studios. But when I say that they share the space, they each have their own little apartment, which I will call a studio because it's an open space. Each apartment is basically just like one big layout. So the bedroom and the living room and the kitchen is just one room. And then they also have a shared space, a very small shared space that is very basic. There's not a whole lot going on there. It's not for partying or anything like that. It's just like a little hangout area that they have just in case they want to hang out together or have like meetings or something, apartment meetings or whatever they do. And there's an extra bathroom as well, and also a laundry room that is connected to that little living room situation. I don't know what to call it, but you'll see it at the very end of the video, and it's purposely not decorated very well. I just wanted it to be super basic and kind of like a little bit commercial in a way, because I think for me, in my head, I thought this setup would be almost like dorm rooms, but dorm apartments, because dorm rooms are very, very small. But I think this whole apartment, in my head, canon, the story is that this apartment is, so like all the apartments combined, is something that is planned out by the university or something like that. And that's why they have this little common room as well where they can talk. And that's why it looks the way that it does. So I don't know if this is like a thing anywhere else. I have no idea, or anywhere else I say, but it's not really, I don't know if it's a thing anywhere in the world, but it is in my Sims world. So here we are. So we're supposed to decorate for 4 very different students. The first one is the one that I call the princess. And when I say that, I don't mean it in a negative way. I know that princess as the title is used in sort of negative ways from like now and then. My dad calls me princess now and then, so it's always been a term of affection to me, to my ears, and nobody's gonna change that. But when I say it, I mean like, she loves vintage pieces. Obviously, it's mixed with some IKEA-looking furniture in this room as well, but she loves vintage pieces that have this kind of look to it, like this desk does. Like, she's into that, but mixing it up with newer kind of furniture as well. You can see it on the bed, too. It's the same kind of vibe. I really had a lot of fun with mixing this like pink and blue together, but also figuring out where the couch as well is a little bit in the same. I don't exactly know what that style is, I want to say. It's a couch that fits very well into more eclectic interiors, but I felt like it fit well enough with the bed and the desk as well, so I went with it. But then it's mixed with like a funky little glass coffee table situation, so it's a bit of a mix in here. Maybe the interior is actually eclectic. I think you can call it that, because it's a little bit of a mix of everything, but she likes these sort of vintage pieces. She loves pink and blue and teal, and I imagine she has a cat at some point in her life, I'm sure. I say she, usually I don't give my Sims that I decorate for genders per se, but because I literally had this like princess idea, that's why I'm calling it a she. Just want to say, but you could have anybody living here if you want to. It doesn't have to be a she. But, oh yeah, one thing I wanted to say regarding all of the apartments actually as well, they all have their own bathrooms, which I know is a little bit luxurious, but it also helped me add some shape to the room as well that I could play around with. And as for their kitchens, they all have their own kitchens as well, but they're all supposed to be a little bit on like the basic side. So I think vibe-wise, they fit with the interiors that I'm going for. But it's not because they're not supposed to look like style-wise on point, if you get what I mean, because they're supposed to be kitchens that are already in the apartments when you move in. So it's just kind of, there's a fine line we're balancing, but because I still want the kitchen counters and the cabinets to fit with the rest of the interior. I don't want them to stick out in a weird way, but they're also supposed to look like they fit with the apartment and have been there. So all the kitchens are laid out in the same way, but they all have their different look or vibe to them. But again, looking a little bit basic. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, but I don't know, ask questions if you want to. I'm taking just a few liberties with each of the kitchens, such as tiles. Then in this case, I've also given her a pink oven just because it's so cute and it fits with the apartment. But you can see the kitchen is pretty basic. I'm using the base game counters and I don't know, it's just a very basic, like, you know, point, what's it called? Like basic, just basic kitchen. So, but that's on purpose. The rest of the apartment is supposed to be her own furniture that she's brought along. So everything else is sort of supposed to reflect her and her interests. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I managed to give each of them a little study corner. So hers is the vintage desk that you saw before. I think I've also managed to give each of them a bookcase, because I think that's pretty natural for students to have. They tend to have a lot of textbooks and stuff. So that was another thing that I wanted to make sure of. And, or at least maybe not the last apartment, or the second last apartment, the third apartment that we're decorating. I don't know about that one, but we'll see, because there was a whole thing with that apartment. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So this is the second kid, the second student, and they're supposed to be the rich kid. I don't really know what they study, to be honest. I think it might have something to do with business or tech of some sort. I think, was this the one that I gave? Yeah, I think it's got to do with tech, just because I gave them a pretty badass computer setup, which we'll see in a second. I'm pretty sure it's this one. I decorated these So like right after each other. So in my head, plus I've also decorated or built another house in the meantime. And I've also started a third house. So in my head, everything's just kind of merging together a little bit. Or blending together, if you will. But I think they got the pretty badass computers set up. So this is supposed to be the more like, I don't want to call it dark academia because it's definitely not, but, or at least in my mind it's not, but it is a bit on the darker side. I wanted everything to look a little bit more luxe and cleaner than the other, not cleaner, because that sounds like the other place was dirty, but when I say, it's hard to, I don't think I can explain what I mean when I say cleaner. Yeah, I'm not gonna try, but either you understand it or you don't, I don't know. But a little bit more luxe, and I don't know, maybe I didn't really succeed. I just wanted each furniture piece to look a little bit more expensive than they had in the previous apartment, and then they will in the future apartments. I think this might actually be my personal favorite of the four, although I also like the next one. It has a lot of personality in my personal opinion. But I think style-wise, this is probably the one that I vibe with the best. So actually, once you've watched all four, let me know which one you like the best. Like, which one could you imagine yourself in the best? Which one fits you, your personality, your hobbies, whatever you've studied, if you've studied, which one fits you best? I'd love to know. I could imagine the sim who ended up in this apartment and decorated it this way to be like kind of bummed out that their parents put them in this apartment building with 3 other students, because like, you have money, why do I end up here? Not saying that these apartments wouldn't be expensive in real life, because I feel like they definitely would be, but we're talking about The Sims, not everything has to be realistic, okay? But I can imagine them being a little bit bummed out about it and then warming up to the other people living in the apartment as time goes by and just actually turning out to be really nice. So they start out a little bit snobby and not really wanting to make friends with everyone and like a little bit feeling like they're above others, but eventually warm up to them and actually turn out to be a really nice person or something like that. I don't know. I read too many books, okay? I haven't really seen that in any book so far, but I feel like that would be a good story. So that's kind of what I imagined for this apartment. So I also had this like, as soon as I saw that painting that hung above the couch, I never use it. It's from Myshuno Stuff Pack, but I don't use it because it's very tall instead of wide. And for that reason, it doesn't really fit into a lot of my houses. I don't know. Maybe I just don't. It's more like a statement piece, isn't it? And I don't really do art pieces as statements in my interiors. But when I pulled it out of the catalog, I was like, okay, this is perfect. This seems like something that a rich kid would have. Most definitely. We're going for it. I'm saying that as someone who's literally never seen a rich kid's interior in real life. Like, not even once. So I don't know what I'm basing this off of. Gossip Girl, possibly. I don't. Anyway, but not that any of these apartments look like anything they have in Gossip Girl. I don't even remember the interior in Gossip Girl. Also, I'm pretty sure that I had this conversation with one of my friends before, and we all, the two of us, we both decided that out of all of the apartments in that show, I'm talking about the old Gossip Girl, by the way, but I remember us talking about it, and I think we both agreed that out of all of the apartments, the one that we'd want the most, both of us, is actually the Humphreys apartment, the one in Brooklyn, because it's just so nice. But even that one in real life would be so expensive. Like, there's no way Rufus would have been able to afford that place. No way, you know? But that's a typical thing when it comes to TV series. Like Carrie Bradshaw's apartment, insanely expensive in real life, but here she is as an author, a writer for a magazine or something with like a weekly column, and she can afford it for some reason. Somehow, I don't know, magic. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, which actually is the title of the book that I'm reading right now. That's pretty funny. Fits me very well. It's about a serial killer and an FBI agent. Fits me so well, anyway. So I think, yeah, I wanted the layout of each apartment kind of done before I started cluttering everything. You might have noticed that already, but we are on the cluttering part of this one right now. So this is I love this little space up here. So I'm moving at some point this year, which I think I said in a previous voiceover, probably one of the Zodiac houses or something, but I have to move because my contract is up, and I don't want to get into it, but that's the whole thing. So it's not an issue. It was something that was mentioned when I moved into the apartment. And I don't mind because I would have wanted to move to something a little bit cheaper anyways. It's very expensive to live these days. So as you might have noticed, like food is more expensive, electricity prices have gone up, like everything is just so expensive. It's very expensive to live. So I just want to move to something a little bit smaller, a little bit more cheap. And while decorating these apartments, I actually thought to myself, like, I think in the long run, I would go slightly crazy if I had to just live in one room. But I actually think I would like it for like a year or something. Like those Korean apartments as well. I think those are super cute, even though they're not very soundproof. So with my job, it would probably not go over well, also because sometimes I do voiceovers very late. But aside from that, I actually like the layout of them, although I'm also a tall person, so the bed area would probably be an issue. I'm just saying, but I like the layout, and a lot of them, at least the ones that I've looked at, the very basic ones, the ones that you've seen like a million duplicates of, they always have like big windows, and I love that. I love natural light. So I don't know, I think I would do well in a place like this for like a year, maybe two. But then I'd start thinking like, okay, I'm tired of being able to see my bed from my couch. I know that's, yeah. Anyway, it's like once you've gotten used to not seeing your bed from your couch or actually sleeping on your couch, it's hard to go back to that. So, but I've been there too. Just want to say I've been there too. So this is the third apartment, and this one was supposed to be for the art student, and I wanted it to be a little bit boho. Actually, that was something that I forgot to say for the second apartment. I wanted it to look rich, luxe, with like a slight boho touch to it, like just like a slight boho touch to it. I think it's still kind of eclectic, but I think that's the same for all of these four interiors, except the fourth one maybe, because it's just basic. But you'll get that in a second in the background story. So this is supposed to be for the artist, though. And it's messy in here. I don't know how they managed to somehow talk the landlords or whatever, the company that owns it, the university or something, how they managed to talk them into letting them have an easel in their room, because what if they spill paint on the floor? I don't know. I don't think my landlord would appreciate me painting in this apartment, but then again, maybe that's just on me and he would take from the deposit or something. I don't know how that works. I don't paint in my apartment. But anyway, actually my plants have left some spots, which is making me a bit nervous. Let's not talk about that today. But anyway, so this is supposed to be for the artist, and I wanted it to be kind of colorful still, but also a boho, like I mentioned before. So that's what we're mainly going for. And then cozy vibes. And I like the layout of the apartments, or when I look at the layout of the apartments, I think I like this one the best. Either this one or the princess's apartment, simply because, and this is like, you can't very well see the bed from the couch area in this apartment. You kind of, because it's like just like a little bit further away, whereas the other ones you can kind of do that, but in this one it's just a little bit further away. It's very narrow with the like the kitchen area, and I'm trying not to say common areas like I usually do because it's one room, it's a studio, so that doesn't make any sense in this situation. But the couch area, the living room area, the little study corner, and also the kitchen, that area is very narrow, but I like the whole, like, the bed being a little bit further away from it. And usually when I do boho interiors, I will either go for very warm colors, such as red and orange and yellow combined sometimes, or I'll go for, like, a very light beige with some gray maybe. Maybe sometimes I've added like a hint of blue. It's just very bright, like white, light beige, gray, and then sometimes blue. So like a light blue, but specifically only added to the white and light beige. So for a change, I was very inspired by the color scheme on this rug, actually, and decided to go for blue. And then also make it a little bit, the brown that I'm using throughout this apartment is this like warmer, dark brown. It's very nice, very rich, warm, comfortable, cozy, kind of chocolate brown, if you will. I really like using that for interiors, but I've been doing a lot of like more neutral, so not really adding a lot of that, although brown is a neutral, but just more like beige and white gray interiors lately, so I wanted to go in a different direction. very inspired by that rug. It definitely helps that I'm pretty sure because the couch, the bed, the chair up in the bedroom area, and also the, what are they called? Curtains? Because they're all from high school years, I think it definitely helps that they match. It made it a little bit easier to make sure that everything just kind of had this, like, a nice flow to it, and was cohesive and everything. But it was fun trying to do something with a little bit of a different color scheme. It's very like blue and teal in here, which is not actually it's not an easy color combination to go with because I think the two colors actually kind of clash because they're almost the same color, but they're different. It's a whole thing. I don't know how to explain it other than they're almost the same color, but they're different, and so they don't actually go very well together. At least not in my personal opinion, but you might have a different opinion, and that is completely okay. So yeah, that was a little bit of a thing. And then I also, just to add an extra level of confusement, I added green to the interior because actually I think it helps a little bit because teal is technically blue and green combined. So if you have green, blue, and teal in the interior, we're kind of playing around with the same colors overall, if you get what I mean. So I don't know how that, like, color theory and how that works, but I think it works better. Or I don't know the logic behind it, but yeah, I'm gonna move on because I don't know what to say about it. So, but in here, I really wanted it to look messy. I wanted there to be a lot of plants. I wanted there to be so much clutter and, of course, like, mess on the floor as well. The sim that lives here has a lot of newspapers beneath the easel, maybe to make sure they don't get in trouble with their landlord. Maybe the landlord doesn't actually know that they paint in their apartment. Who knows? But oh, and also clothes up in the bedroom area. There's a little bit lying on the floor. So overall, just a little bit messy. I forgot to say this earlier in the video, but I did notice while taking screenshots that some of the clutter has gone missing after I closed down the game, and I don't know where it went. It just said poof, bye, so that's the thing. Just wanted to point that out. Also, this will be on the gallery, but the download instructions are kind of... It's difficult because I've both used Tool for the Windows and I'm also using platforms, but there are instructions for the platforms in the description box, or not here, I don't think, but on the gallery. So the uploads description box, so just read those. It's basically like the lowest half wall that I'm using means that you have to raise the platform for that area by 1 tick, but it's much easier to follow if you're actually following the video at the same time. So if you really want to play with these apartments, you still need Tool because the window placement is different, but there's a whole situation. Just wanted to let you guys know, but they are up for download though. So this is the last one of the apartments, and this one is supposed to be for the Jock, who plays chess in secret, who really loves chess, like secretly loves chess. For some reason, I thought that was hilarious. I don't really know why, but I was having a lot of fun with that. I think I was a little bit overtired when I decorated. I'm still overtired, but I think I was a little bit overtired when I decorated this. So I thought that was hilarious, and I really wanted to include that. Unfortunately, I think when I took the screenshots that the chess set that I placed down, because the everyday clutter kit actually came with this chess set. At least I think it's a chess set. If it's not, then this is awkward. But it was removed. For some reason it was gone. I think it was gone at least. I wasn't sure because I couldn't remember where everything was, but now you got the background story at least. And also, this was so annoying because I really didn't want this platform to only be on 1 tick up. I had so many issues with this room, also because I have better build by now after you guys have been hounding me about it for ages. I have it. And I put on delete protection because when I painted the walls in this room, all the clutter disappeared. And then I went back, like I undid it. And then the floor in this room disappeared. Oh my gosh, it was a whole thing. I closed down the game and opened it again. The floor was still gone. That's the thing that happens sometimes with better build by. And I had to figure out how to create the floor again without deleting everything in this room because I'd almost finished decorating at that point. I think I was missing a little bit of clutter around the living room area, which honestly wasn't a lot of clutter at that point. So yeah, I had to redo a lot of it, which is why at some point it might not look exactly like it did before. Just so you know. But I had some issues. and I was like so close to rage quitting. Like so close. I'm not usually a rage quitter, but I was so close to rage quitting that at that point. But managed to get through it. I also thought, like, this is so typical. The fourth room, of course this would happen now. What if it ruins the entire house or the entire apartment and suddenly I can't use it? Maybe it's glitched out. What if it's broken my entire build that I've spent hours on at this point? Like, I would be so... Because the save situation, don't even ask me about it. It was already messed up. I would have been so heartbroken, slightly stressed out, and also so sad. So yeah, but luckily we're good. Everything's fine. The room has a floor again, so we're all good. Don't worry about it. I fixed it for you. Everything's good. But as for the room though and the style, very basic. This sim definitely cares a lot about their workout. I think I tried to give them the smallest workstation, so the smallest little study corner, and then I realized that the desk was just too small, so I decided to I thought it was so funny because I could not find anything, like the motifs on this thing that's right there did not really go along with like, it didn't really match my history or my story for the sim, unfortunately. So just ignore that there are like guitars and stuff on those pictures. Let's just collectively choose to ignore it, okay? This is a Jock. They don't play music, but they do play chess though. But I placed it down first without actually changing the motif, and I realized at some point that it was filled with animals. And I was just like, okay, this does not fit with the picture of the sim that I have in my head. But they have like workout equipment here and there, and they have the punching bag over in the corner, and overall just not really, I didn't want it to look like they cared a lot about their interior. Like, it didn't have to be stylish in any way. It didn't have to be well thought out or anything like that. It's just, they're just here to sleep and maybe train a little bit, and then they're out again because they're so busy doing sports, whatever sport they do. I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't know what sports you can do in Discovery University, so apologies. But I hope I got my message through at least, or like my the backstory for the sim. I hope you can see it. Also, they have like several water bottles around. I actually thought for a second maybe I shouldn't put down a cup because a cup because what? I put down a cup. Moving on. So I've been reading too much of that book. Just want to say anyway. We're moving on. So I was kind of like, cause can sports people actually drink caffeine? Like I don't even know where that came from because I'm pretty sure they're okay with that. But anyway, that was a whole thing, a whole thought process at some point. I just remembered from looking at the cup. Yeah, so for the rest of the video, we're just gonna decorate the shared areas, the common areas, and then we're done. So I'm gonna wrap up this voiceover now. If you guys like this apartment, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. Follow the descriptions or the instructions in the description box, thank you, to place it down and make it look like it does in this video. And you can also find the tray files over on my Patreon, which will be linked to in the description box as well as in the pinned comment, where you can also find a link to my booktube channel. So if you like to read, you like to watch videos with people who talk a lot about books, many books, many different books, definitely check it out. But that is all I got for you guys today. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye. Walking down the shore, diving head first down to the ocean floor. Your dark brown eyes reflect fireflies, living bright nights, getting me high on life. It's a night to stay up late. Things we have to do can't wait. We've got catching up to do. There's a glow about you. This is a
a long walk till we start to freeze. Hearing small talk over the summer breeze. Out of safe songs, finding hidden caves. All the wet stones shaped by the ocean